Let's face it, everyone, the college football news is never going to stop. That is the day and time in which we live now in college football. Welcome in, everyone, to the voice of college football here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. We are coming to you live on our main channel, but also simulcasting on our Oklahoma, USC, and Georgia channels for good reason. So five-star quarterback Caleb Williams, who just enjoyed a banner freshman season at Oklahoma in 2021, is, voila, you guessed it, entering the transfer portal. It is going to be refreshing. It's going to be meaningful. It's going to say a lot when there is a star player in college football in the future who signs a scholarship and just stays at that one school for at least 3 years and then heads off to the NFL and doesn't decide to go somewhere else. But this is what we've got right now. Caleb Williams, who is the starting quarterback at Oklahoma. So understand the weight of that statement, of that position, of that role. He is the starting quarterback at Oklahoma. He has decided to explore other options. Now, in his statement today, he did say that he is exploring other options, and this is the only way to do it. You cannot explore other options, talk to other schools, go on campus, do those things, and remain out of the transfer portal. You have to make that intent known. So to Caleb Williams and everyone else's defense, they can't just pick up their cell phone and text a bunch of coaches across the country and talk to them and just get a feel for their situation and what they could provide, and not do that by entering the transfer portal. So that's part of the process. That doesn't mean that he is leaving. Based on past results, it's about a 95% certainty. And I don't have the metrics or the statistics in front of me, but it's a high probability that he is leaving. But we have seen on rare occasions student athletes who have entered the transfer portal and decided to stay where they're at. So for Caleb Williams, he was the backup to Spencer Rattler, the Heisman frontrunner starting the 21 season. And he exploded onto the scene when Rattler was struggling against Texas. In comes Caleb Williams. He throws 5 touchdown passes. He leads a tremendous comeback from 28-7 down. And he is then the starting quarterback at Oklahoma. And he ran into a few minor rough patches. So Oklahoma did lose 2 games with him at starting quarterback. The finale against Oklahoma State, which would have vaulted them into the Big 12 championship game, and another game against Baylor in which he didn't look too good in that game. They only scored 2 touchdowns and lost that game 27-14. Other than that, though, Caleb Williams, he plays the part. He looks the part. He plays the part. He's got the NFL frame. He's got the elusiveness. He's got the speed. He's got the arm talent. He's got the arm velocity, strength, arm strength, but also the arm talent. 21 touchdowns, 4 picks. That's pretty stellar. 6 touchdowns rushing, almost 500 yards rushing in well under a season, and 64% completion percentage. So Caleb Williams most likely is going to leave Oklahoma. Why would he leave Oklahoma? My thoughts would be this. Number one, when a player chooses a school and chooses a team, it depends on the player. They all have different priority lists, but among that priority list, it may be at the very top, it might be 3rd, it might be 5th, is a position coach and a head coach. For the quarterback, they are most tied to the head coach more than any other position. There is a relationship between head coach and quarterback, especially when the head coach is an offensive-minded guy. And of course, Lincoln Riley recruited and signed and partially developed Caleb Williams. So I got to think that the relationship is strong. And Lincoln Riley, of course, is the guy who benched Spencer Rattler, a Heisman frontrunner, in favor of Caleb Williams and started him the rest of the season. Not that that was a difficult decision once he made it. Not saying it was a easy decision in the moment, but once it was made, Caleb Williams was obviously the choice the rest of the season. So players choose coaches much of the time. We just saw a commit to Ohio State that we posted a video on our Ohio State channel today. And he flat out said, I'm pretty much going to Ohio State because of Larry Johnson, the defensive line coach at Ohio State. These comments are made by these recruits all the time. They build a relationship with their position coach first and foremost, and also the head coach. But this being a quarterback, the head coach is more prominent in their relationship. So I would think, if I was going to place odds on this, that Caleb Williams will head to USC, which brings into question Keaton Slovis has already left USC to go to Pitt to transfer out because he saw the writing on the wall, because Jackson Dart, who started the last 4 or 5 games for USC when Slovis was hurt, played rather well and is the incoming hot shot from Utah. Not the University of Utah, but Utah high school football. Jackson Dart takes over for Keaton Slovis. Slovis sees the writing on the wall, takes off for the University of Pittsburgh. And now Jackson Dart, you can be sure that he's leaving if USC signs Caleb Williams. This is going to be a revolving door in 47 directions all the time. There is also a word out there that Georgia is a potential suitor. Georgia has a loaded quarterback room for 2022. Now, I am not positive on Stetson Bennett's eligibility, but this is his 3rd season playing, if I'm not mistaken. This is his 3rd season playing, so he should still be eligible to come back. Now, Caleb Williams versus Stetson Bennett from a potential standpoint is a mismatch, but Stetson Bennett wins a national championship. Even if he does not win a national championship this season, based on what he has achieved at Georgia, 27 touchdowns, 7 picks, arriving at the national championship game. Then you also have Carson Beck. He's a 4-star. He's done very little, not been given many opportunities at this level. He threw 23 passes this year. Brock Vandegrift, 5-star, elite passer, 2021 class. So he's just gotten his college career underway. 1 season at Georgia, just threw 1 pass. So nothing on him yet. And then, of course, JT Daniels. JT Daniels, I cannot imagine in any such way would JT Daniels enter the NFL draft. He has 1 full season on the books at USC, and that was back in 2018. Then his 2019 was wiped out due to injury. He comes back in 2020. That's when he transferred to Georgia. He couldn't play or did not play for the first half of the season, and then showed us some good things in the final 4 games and in the bowl game against Cincinnati. And then, of course, JT Daniels started this season as the Georgia starter, played against Clemson, played a couple of weeks, injured. In steps Stetson Bennett. JT Daniels never gets his job back. And that's not really the resume that you want to hand to NFL scouts. Not that he would not get drafted at some point, but I got to think that JT Daniels is headed back. So we've got a full quarterback room at Georgia, but there is word out there connecting Caleb Williams to Kirby Smart and Georgia based on NIL opportunities. And then also keep in mind, look at Texas A&M's situation. Zach Calzada is in the transfer portal. Haynes King is a hotshot 5-star, but Haynes King won the job and then only played 2 games last year, got hurt in the second game of the season against Colorado. So he has shown nothing. It's certainly not his job. Max Johnson did transfer in after throwing 27 touchdowns with LSU last season. So every quarterback room for any team, we're talking some of the elites. We've just mentioned Oklahoma, USC, Georgia, Texas A&M. The quarterback rooms are going to be loaded. They're going to be packed. So if a quarterback does not want competition, sure, they're going to measure their opportunities and see where there's a void, but still, there's going to be competition everywhere. If you don't want competition, then you're going to have to play a little lower level of football. You're going to have to look for mid-tier Power 5 conference teams, and you're still going to get competition, but it should be, if you're that good, competition that you can readily handle and pretty easily win the job. So Caleb Williams leaves Oklahoma, and I got to think that there's a possibility here in looking at his future, in developing his skills for the next level. He's going to get drafted by the NFL regardless of where he goes. He could transfer to Kent State, and he's going to get drafted in 2 years. But he wants to put himself in the best position to be a prime NFL draft selection. He wants to throw to future NFL receivers, be protected by future NFL offensive linemen, and most of all, be mentored and receive his tutelage from a coach that masters in quarterback development and offensive concepts, and that's Lincoln Riley. Maybe he has some reservations about Brent Venables being a defensive guy coming in from Oklahoma, or coming to Oklahoma from Clemson. Of course, Brent Venables, a great defensive coordinator in mind. We do know that Oklahoma's new offensive coordinator, Jeff Lebby from Ole Miss, is highly regarded. We just posted videos on the Oklahoma channel. No, just posted videos on the SEC and Georgia channels about the possibility of Caleb Williams going to Georgia. I stacked him up against the quarterback room that I just went through. And then also we posted a video with Matt Zemek from Trojans Wire on the USC channel about Caleb Williams' connections, i.e. Lincoln Riley, and the fit at USC. All right, let's see what you guys have to say about all this. And right out of the gate, I see Dependent Fanatic and I see James Warner. Awesome. So let's get to the top here. Exploring with Ben. Ugh, I'm back. Is that an ugh, Ben? Why should that be ugh, I'm back? That should be hallelujah. Awesome. Yay, I'm back. Yakov 22. Guaranteed starter as long as he is there. John, hi, y'all. Good to see Jeffrey here as well. Yes, like we talked about, Jackson Dart would leave USC most likely. Lewis says he's going to Georgia. Francisco, I don't believe I've ever seen your handle before. So, Francisco, we say, welcome to the Voice of College Football. Would love to know who you root for. You just answered that question. Fight on. And how long you've been watching us. I'm guessing that you are joining us from the USC channel. We just passed 1,000 subs. So thank you, everyone who contributed specifically to that. Thank you for that. Danny says USC all the way in. Danny, and I'm not going to do this 50 times tonight, I promise. Welcome to the Voice of College Football. Would love to know how long you've been watching as well. Exploring with Ben encourages everyone to hit the thumbs up. Jay Verderber says Caleb Williams looking for the highest bidder. That's where we are in college football right now. Shay Wen, damn, you fans gonna have huge meltdown if he comes to SC. Yeah. OU fans not real happy with Lincoln Riley, not one of their favorites, and that's going to be exasperated by that decision. Yeah, top two quarterbacks both gone at Oklahoma. Man, their quarterback situation is wide open for a top quarterback who's having difficulty getting on the field somewhere else. So we'll have to think about that. Honey Badger, this NIL stuff is ruining college football. Roberto, this good or bad for college football? If we could limit the player movement, I think that it's good that student athletes have the opportunity to move, and just like a regular student has the opportunity to leave a school, go to another school. So this is where it becomes difficult, because what is good for, and it's not necessarily always good for them. The grass is always greener. So that's what we're looking at as well. These players are going to determine. It's similar to when we started to get early entries into the NFL draft, and players who had no business entering the NFL draft, and we started to see a backlash where there were dozens of players entering the NFL draft and being drafted in the 7th round or not being drafted. And then college football, in conjunction with the NFL, produced now draft scouting reports, a draft prospectus to these athletes to enlighten them on their draft status. I don't know if there's an answer like that here, but maybe there needs to be soon some statistics put together to give these athletes some education, number one, on the difficulty in transferring, because we see statistics. I think D-Rock Irish puts these statistics in the live chat from time to time about the number of players who transfer is pretty limited in regards to the ones that go into the transfer portal than the ones who are able to find a landing spot. It's only like 29 or 30% best that I can determine based on what I've seen. Now, Caleb Williams, different scenario. He can go wherever he wants, and any school in the country would take him immediately. Good or bad for college football? Yeah, it's a right of the individual, but it's bad for college football. It is bad for college football. People are more attached and loyal and have stronger allegiance to teams, programs. When I say people, I mean fans. We, the fans, have stronger allegiance to programs when we have an environment like we did 20 years ago, when players would always be Michigan State Spartans for a lifetime, Oklahoma Sooners for a lifetime, USC Trojans for a lifetime. Think about your favorite college football players of all time. Did they play at multiple schools? Most likely not, because it was difficult to transfer and they usually had to sit out unless there was a hardship. Now they get to do whatever they want. Should they have that right? They should. They should have that right. Now, I do believe that installing the rule that it is a one-time transfer rule and then you have to sit out a year after that is going to curb this. Yeah, Danny, Georgia's got 3 5-star quarterbacks. It is pretty ridiculous. Jordan says he's clearly testing the waters, not guaranteed that he's leaving. Absolutely. And again, I talked about that off the top, and that has to be considered. And let's not forget that there is no way for these athletes to test the waters otherwise. They have to enter the transfer portal. Look at this coming in from our friends from Get Business Credit. This is our guy, Josh Van Horn. We talk about him all the time. Head on over to Get Business Credit. We'll put the banner up here soon. If you own a small business or you want to own a small business, maybe it's always been your dream to own and run a small business, but you really don't know how to get started from a financing standpoint, and you think that your personal credit isn't where it needs to be, never fear. Check out Get Business Credit right here on YouTube, and check out Josh's information and the products that he has. He will point you in the right direction and put you in connection with thousands, literally thousands of financing options. So again, you don't need to give up your social security number. Don't need to worry about your own personal credit. If you own a small business, need financing, or you've always thought, hey, I've got an idea for a small business, I want to do it, but I don't know what to do from a financing standpoint, then that's your guy right there. Josh's YouTube channel is blowing up. So we know he's doing good work over there. I've listened to it a number of times, giving tremendous advice, and it's Get Business Credit right here on YouTube. What's up, Mark? Hope all is well. I sent you an email, had a bad 245-mile-an-hour typhoon here, destroyed all the islands in power. My goodness, Josh, we are just happy that you, your wife, and your family are okay. Anyhow, get back to me. Hope your holidays were good. They were good. They were better than yours. So, Josh, it is great to see that you're fine. Was not aware of that. He thinks Caleb Williams will go to Ole Miss. Jordan, if there's a big NIL opportunity in Athens, it wouldn't surprise me if he goes. Q Lee doesn't necessarily like what's going on at Oklahoma. So Sweet Tooth, I don't think that Jackson Dart's going to stick around if there's a transfer situation, because Caleb Williams, it would be one thing if this was his last year. It's not going to be his last year. He's just getting started. Well, it could be his. I don't think he's going to be old enough. No, he's going to have to play an additional year. Yes, it has. Zial. Danny says the most money will get the guy. We'll get Caleb Williams. Kent, when they felt they had the upper hand, they began to exact punishment knowing. Yeah, D-Rock Irish, our guys here. Yes, wants to go to a program that develops quarterbacks. Lincoln Riley, Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, Jalen Hurts. What about Malachi Nelson? Yeah. Malachi Nelson, the number one quarterback commit in the country to USC. Well, I think if most of these guys are understanding coming out of high school and then they want to play at an elite school, they're most likely going to sit for 1 year. Most likely. Okay, Caleb Williams, it was about 4 games. Q Lee is bringing into question the quarterback track record for Kirby Smart at Georgia and making decisions and developing quarterbacks. Ryan thinks it's a money grab situation. Certainly could be the case. Although, again, players commit to coaches. His coach left. It is reasonable to think that he thought, okay, Lincoln Riley just left. I need to keep that as an option, but I'm going to see who Oklahoma's going to hire, and then we'll take it from there. Jeffrey, if Caleb Williams goes to USC, Trojans at least win the Pac-12 and maybe more than that. Yeah. Did we just witness what happened with Pac-12 football this last year? This was the worst year of Pac-12 football ever. I say that confidently. 0-5 in bowl games, losing to the likes of Central Michigan and Utah State after basically having one super quality win non-conference, Oregon, Ohio State. Other than that, losing to a bunch of FCS and Group of Five teams. The Pac-12 is in trouble. The addition of Lincoln Riley helps considerably, though. Jay Jones, if he goes to USC, then OU should hire a room full of lawyers and sue for tampering. That might be difficult to prove. Jordan, well, his starting quarterback got knocked out of the game. Okay. Don't know where we are with that. There you go, Tony. The Dogs don't need a transfer quarterback if either Stetson or JT return. And based on Kirby Smart's track record of playing quarterbacks, he is very loyal to his incumbent quarterback. Stetson Bennett has made it to a national championship game, even if they lose this game. But if they win the national championship, how in the world do you bench your starting quarterback after he won the national championship? Ricardo, what do I think about Big Ben's last game tonight? Yeah, last home game, right? At Heinz Field against the Brownies. And Pittsburgh's still in wild card contention, and that game's going to kick off about a half hour. Yes, let's all believe what Michael Weekly is telling us. There's an inside source that says Caleb Williams to Maryland. Yes, that's where he's headed. Hummus Hero says North Carolina would be a good spot for Caleb. What they have coming in and behind Howell, though. Okay, Howell's gone. Let's remember who is still out there in terms of quarterbacks. We still have Zach Calzada out there, and we still have Casey Thompson. Any other quarterbacks that I'm missing that are still out there besides Thompson and Calzada? The Incarnate Word quarterback, Cameron Ward, he's still available, and he's supposed to be exceptional. Auburn most definitely needs a quarterback. You talk about a program with all these 3 and 4 quarterbacks being stacked up at most of the major schools. Auburn's a top 15 job, top 15 program, really hurting a quarterback. TJ Finley, you don't want him starting. He is not a starting quarterback in the SEC. He's not a starting quarterback at a place like Auburn. He should not be. Am I missing anything with Auburn? I know that they've got somebody who was supposed to battle Bo Nix. Auburn fans, help me out. I can't remember his name. They did have somebody that they were high on going into this season. Jackson State. So the Ron Favre, Unfortunately, he's blown my cover here and let this out, but since it's right there in the live chat and everybody can read it, I might as well just come clean. Yeah, so Caleb Williams, it's going to be very close to the Travis Hunter announcement to Jackson State that just completely blindsided, slapped everybody across the face. Nobody anticipated it. Nobody saw it coming. Caleb Williams transferring to Kent State because billionaire alumni Mark Rogers is going to give Caleb an NIL deal to be on the Voice of College Football. Yes, we have our announcement. Caleb Williams every Thursday night here at the Voice of College Football. And the Kent State helmet will then be permanently placed on the top shelf. But that has yet to become official. Good move there, Rod. Michael, here we go. He's putting in a legitimate claim for Caleb Williams. He says, if you remember, it came down to Maryland and Oklahoma. That was his top two. He's from Washington, D.C., 15 minutes away from College Park. I kind of forgot that. Great to see everybody here at the Voice of College Football. We actually just, this comment concerning Dylan Gabriel reminds me, just recorded a segment with Tony Siracusa from Last Word on College Football. Another intriguing storyline in the Los Angeles area going on is that Chip Kelly basically will not have a contract in about 10 days. He will be a coach without a contract. So UCLA has offered him a contract. He has yet to sign it. It's been on the table for months. And so we talked to Tony, who has tremendous insight into it and also has tremendous sources out there concerning UCLA and Chip Kelly and what could be going on there. So we've had all this coaching movement that we typically do right after the season ends. But here we are well after the bowl play, and we're a couple days into January, and UCLA may part ways with Chip Kelly. Most likely, the offer's out there. He's going to take it. There are probably some sticking points, but they must be some major sticking points because they've been held up on this deal for a couple months now. And then on top of that, our guy, Allie, has reminded me, or Miss, I'm sorry if I screwed that up. Either way, Allie has reminded us Dylan Gabriel was supposed to be transferring to UCLA. Dylan Gabriel has not yet enrolled, by all indications, has not enrolled at UCLA yet. And so there are maybe some moving parts there. Caleb Williams, UCLA. I'm going to put my money on USC. But that's the obvious choice. But look at what's happened in college football in terms of head coaches landing wherever. Who are we talking about ending up at USC? Who are we talking about ending up at Florida or at LSU? We kept running through the same names of Luke Fickell and Matt Campbell and a number of other guys, James Franklin. What happened? Brian Kelly leaves Notre Dame to go to LSU. Lincoln Riley, bam, just leaves Oklahoma to go to USC. So this seems fairly cut and dry to rejoin Lincoln Riley. He's probably going to fool us all. James, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for saying hi. You as well, Dependent Fanatic. The Buckeyes with a great win in the Rose Bowl. Yes. Appreciate DeAndre being here and for the super chat contribution from our guy DeAndre, BGPO Football Funk. He's got a YouTube channel as well. Just search BGPO Football Funk. Defensive end Kevin Henry is coming back to Clemson. Thank you for the news update on that. Kevin Henry, defensive end, opting to stay at Clemson and not forego his senior season. Ricardo continues to ask me about Big Ben's last game. What do I think of it? I think that he's going to go out there and do his best, and the Steelers need a win, and they need a win and a hope, right? They're like 8-7-1, something like that. Whatever their record is, 7-7-1. Yeah, so the rest of the USC team is not good. And that's kind of difficult to figure out because Clay Helton, for all the criticisms of Clay Helton from a recruiting standpoint, aside from one class they tanked. He brought in really good recruiting classes, but USC's defense this past year was beyond pitiful. Next to last in the Pac-12 in a few categories. Bo Weevil, good to see you. We appreciate the contributions, saying hi, all those things, exploring with Ben. Oh, got a positive on the COVID test. Sorry about that. Exploring with Ben. Been rough few days with a fever. I had a minor fever last night, and that did go through my mind, but I think I've bypassed that concern. Mike 3883. Interesting score here. Bama 80-19. I know I read that out of order. Jim says, I don't think Lincoln Riley is a quarterback coach like you think. Bakery Donut, Oklahoma. Murray had the damn talent when he came. Bob Stoops had 2 Heisman winners. Okay. Jim, please look into punctuation next time. Okay. We will give all due credit to Michael here if he comes through on the Maryland selection for Caleb Williams. And then that's going to be interesting because that makes the Big Ten Eastern Division much more interesting. Not that he can win it by himself, but makes Maryland more dangerous. If I'm preparing myself for the NFL draft and I also want to win in college, I'm not going to Maryland. Danny, FSU channel. Don't know what that is, but oh, you've joined us on the FSU channel. That's how you found us, I guess. Lewis, Dabo's going to have to do the portal at some point. And actually, we've got a conversation coming up with Jason Priester from allclemson.com on Tuesday. And we'll talk about that. Casey Thompson possibly coming to OU. That would make a whole lot of sense, you would think. Cheryl wants to get generous here and send a box of cigars to Coach Jim Knowles coming to Ohio State, C-Bus as defensive coordinator. Thank you, Mike. Just wanted to clarify that. That's what I thought. Stetson Bennett is a redshirt senior. one more year for COVID. Yes, John, hit the like button. Thank you so much for that. So here's the deal. We're here at the Voice of College Football. And even though the season's over, if you have yet to be here during the offseason is no different than the season. We do not stop. We are full throttle all the time. We're going to be all over the transfer portal, recruiting, ratings, rankings. I'm going to rank all the teams 1 through 130 as soon as LSU and Kansas State play tomorrow night. Then, of course, it's just going to be Georgia 1, Alabama 2, or Alabama 1, Georgia 2, 1, 2, 2, 1. And then the rest of the 130, we will release our rankings. We've got so much to hit on. I will deliver my way too early top 25 for 2022, which I got to say, my way too early top 25 for 2021 had Georgia number 1. And I got questioned quite a bit about that. And my national championship game selection for this season in August was Alabama and Georgia. Not that that was that difficult, but still other people had Oklahoma, Clemson, Ohio State, whomever. We went Alabama, Georgia for the national championship game. Similarly, in 2020, Alabama and Ohio State in the national championship game. Unfortunately, my other 2 playoff participants this year, Ohio State and Notre Dame, just barely missed. Just barely missed. Yeah, just to clarify my statement from before, Zial, yes, regular students are not on scholarship, but I was also talking about scholarship students. Yes, if they would decide, okay, if you had a scholarship to Kansas State University and decided to leave, then you would have to, of course, be offered a scholarship somewhere else. So that's not guaranteed. But in this situation, we know Caleb Williams is going to be offered a scholarship wherever. James is asking, Mark Rogers, what do you think about players sitting out bowl games for the draft? Because most of these players sitting out barely even make the NFL roster. Well, I posted a video about this yesterday. So I have a long video, so I'm not going to go too lengthy on this answer. But basically, it's the right of the individual as an American to leave, do whatever they want. The schools and the football programs have no recourse because the player has quit school, doesn't need to go to class anymore, is preparing for the NFL draft. So the school and the institution has no recourse against the player. Okay. So I've had a number of people tell me that the player should get penalized. Penalized by whom? I don't like it because I believe that they have committed themselves to, they signed a scholarship. They agreed to play that sport for as long as they were enrolled at the school to completion of that season, whether they stayed their full 4 years or left after their junior year. And so what is it different in which the team in question has played a bowl game, is scheduled to play a bowl game? That is not the completion of the season. We still need to get the bowl game in. The bowl game is part of the season. So I believe that they should be playing. They're on scholarship. They're on the team. Otherwise, they are quitters. So I will criticize them in that. They can accurately be called quitters. They are quitting on their team. They are. But do I believe that they should have that right and do have that right? Yes, they do. They do. I'm not going to, again, I posted like a 25-minute video on this yesterday, so I'm not going to go into all the various ideas I have to try to do something about it. There it is from D-Rock. 60% of the scholarship players are still in the transfer portal. So D-Rock, the only thing I'll ask is, where did you get that number? I did not see this. The Rod Farva is telling us that Master Teague declared for the NFL draft. JC, I believe the same thing. The throw that CJ Stroud made in the Rose Bowl late in the game to tie up the score was one of the greatest I've ever seen in college. He threw the ball from the left hash all the way to the right sideline in the corner, and it was just when you figure the distance, the trajectory, all of those things, the timing, all of it involved, it was a remarkable throw. I agree with you, and I've stated that on a couple of videos. Okay, Spencer, again, we can talk about what should happen versus what is law, what is reasonable. None of this that you're stating here is reasonable, unfortunately. Yes, football is a team sport. Should NIL be put? No. They are individuals. They have individual earning power. No, it shouldn't be like that. No. Maybe it should. That's an arguable point, but that's not going to happen. We live in a country, and hopefully this continues, where the individual is accountable for their own and responsible and in power of their own earning power. So no, we do not want that to take place. But at the same time, what you mentioned in the second statement about the players' NIL stock only being as good as the players around them, we have heard De'Ara King and some other players who have received an NIL deal, and they included either the rest of the players on the offense or the offensive line or the rest of the team. All right. Whoever is writing this, they've got a ton of letters in their handle. I'm not necessarily understanding, first of all, 2 or 3 schools. There's a lot more schools than that have significant money. So NIL will allow 2 or 3 schools with the most money. So the money does not come from the schools. The money comes from outside sources. Now, the schools may be underhanded, and this would be difficult money to track. They could circumvent their own money and sweeten the deal, sweeten the pot. But the NIL, those are private companies that pursue a particular player for promotion. Caleb Williams to Michigan State. What is the connection there? Is that a joke? Appreciate that, Charles. Smash the like button if you are a college football fan, because that's what we do here is we discuss, debate, and analyze college football every day with you. And yes, we brag about this. Best discussion, debate, and analysis. But because of you, because of your contribution, otherwise I would be sitting here talking to no one. So thank you for being here. Best discussion, debate, and analysis. That's our aim. That's our goal. That's our mission. I have a ton of content ideas for the off season, as I always do, which are going to be released. If you follow me on Twitter, and if you don't, please follow me on Twitter, Mark Rogers TV. I'm going to be, and this just hit me. I had the idea several years ago to have at the time, if you've not noticed, we are de-emphasizing and steering away from Mark Rogers TV into Voice of College Football as our brand name, Voice of College Football. It is patented, by the way. I should probably hang the patent. That's what I should do. So anyway, the Voice of College Football. But I've gotten away from this for the past couple off seasons, just after the season, in selecting and announcing our conference offensive and defensive players of the year. So I'm going to get to work on that tonight. So you will see that on Twitter. I'm not going to post videos, I don't think. Maybe I will. That'll help market it. We will release our conference offensive and defensive players of the year, the Voice of College Football, offensive and defensive players of the year. And I need to get on that because the season's basically over. And unlike the other awards that only take into account the regular season, I want the bowls to be even more meaningful. So when this becomes a big deal, these are going to be honored after the season. So look out for those announcements. And if you follow me on Twitter, you will see them. And I tag the player. So what's happened in the past that's been somewhat amusing is that I have tagged said player to say, congratulations, John Doe. You are the Voice of College Football ACC Defensive Player of the Year. And you'd be surprised how many times they responded by saying, hey, this is awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it so much. And they retweet it, so forth. So we're going to get back on that. That just hit me. But we have so many content ideas for the off season, but I always want to hear from you. So if you've got a content request, please send it in to markrogerstv@gmail.com. Don't put it in the live chat. I'll miss it. Go to markrogerstv@gmail.com if you've got a request for content for a video. We've got Dat Boyle Humpty. Appreciate you being here. Auburn is the move for Kayla, I guess. That makes sense from a football standpoint, but this goes way beyond football. But from a football standpoint, hey, yeah, if I'm a quarterback and I want no competition, but I want to play at a big-time program, I'd be looking at Auburn, that's for sure. I would also look at Iowa. Maybe not the Caleb Williams fit. He doesn't want to play in that conservative of an offense, but Iowa needs a quarterback. That's a top-notch program, and they need quarterback play. All right. Vegan chimes in, too, to say don't be surprised when Caleb Williams goes back home to Maryland. Would that not be a great story? I would love that. I would love it. All right. I'm going to skip to the bottom because I will never catch up with you guys. And I hope everyone has smashed the like button. What did John Doe do to earn the ACC? Actually, I said Defensive Player of the Year. He had 37.5 sacks at Duke. But nobody watches Duke, so you don't know about John Doe at Duke. 37.5 sacks. But we don't miss anyone. Steve asks, how many years will Kirk Ference have left in the tank? Well, he's doing just fine. I think he's going to be there for another 3 to 5 years. That would be my guess, but I've got nothing to base that on other than his age. That's the only thing. Kirk Ference would have to lose a lot of ball games to get pushed out. So that's going to be his call. He is the expectations at Iowa are decent, but we know that they're not championship standards because he has yet to win a Big Ten championship going back to 04. He tied for a Big Ten championship in 02 and in 04. So here we are 17 years later. He's not won a Big Ten championship in 17 seasons, and he's fine. Charles Johnson, make a video, Mark. Are we talking about the Dylan Gabriel? Dylan Gabriel is already flipping, huh? Look at that. Yep, I see a couple notes that I've received from people, DMs. Caleb Williams leaving Oklahoma. Dylan Gabriel signs with Oklahoma. Oh boy, oh boy. There we are. There we have it. I can't keep up. I cannot keep up. Man, anytime I post video now, or anytime I record videos now, I got to post them immediately. I just have to post them immediately because I just recorded something like 2 hours ago that is obsolete. Alan, 100 likes would be great. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. All right. We're going to have to get to work on Dylan Gabriel and Oklahoma. Caleb Williams, we'll see where he goes. And this pretty much spells it out. These guys talk to each other. Dylan Gabriel would not go to Oklahoma if he knew he was going to have to back up Caleb Williams. And I do think that Caleb Williams would beat out Dylan Gabriel, who's a fine quarterback. The real MVP 24, most likely. Yes, he is, Charles. He's a good quarterback. The real MVP, most likely. Dorian Thompson-Robinson's gone off to the NFL, but maybe not. And that might be one of the reasons why Dylan Gabriel decided not to go to UCLA and went to Oklahoma. These guys probably all talk and say, hey, all right, I want to get out of Oklahoma because I'm going to follow Lincoln Riley. Okay, and then Dylan Gabriel, who knows how this is all moving about. But these guys talk. These guys know each other. They go to camps together, all of it. Yes, we got that, Mayan. Thank you so much for that. Rod Favre is anti-left-handed quarterback unless your name is Steve Young, Michael Vick, or Pat White. Not Alex Hornibrook? Not Kenny Stabler, the snake? I got to say, Steve Young probably is a designation that's very hard to eclipse because if you bring up who's the greatest at this or the best at that, it's always a debate. But the best left-handed quarterback of all time in the NFL, it's got to be Steve Young. I don't even think it's close. But Kenny Stabler, Hall of Famer. But T. Hammer, love the channel. Who's your way too early top 25 or, oh, no, your 2022 Heisman winner? Oh, my goodness. Well, I know you love the channel, and I appreciate that so much. You must not love it quite enough to know that I don't go in on the Heisman. But Mark Brunell, thank you, Michael. No, I did not forget. I just stopped talking. But thank you, Michael. Mark Brunell, yes. Washington Huskies. Jacksonville Jaguars. Then who did he finish up with? Anyway, Washington Redskins, right? Early Heisman. Well, CJ Stroud is an obvious selection. Jackson Smith Njigba, an obvious. Bryce Young. Look at there was so much more consideration given to underclassmen in Heisman voting than there was years ago. Up until what? Probably into the 2000s, seniors dominated the Heisman Trophy. And now it can go to anyone. Bryce Young, redshirt freshman, Heisman Trophy winner. He could win 3 of them. So Bryce Young and the 2 Ohio State players I mentioned are the obvious choices right out of the gate. Running backs coming back. Who do we have there? Top-notch running backs coming back. Well, Travion Henderson. The Georgia running backs, they distribute the ball way too many times in different directions for them to win the Heisman. Caleb Williams. There you go. Thank you, Charles. Bijan Robinson. He's probably the best running back in college football. Tank Bigsby at Auburn probably needs a little bit more support. No, Tank, do I understand this correctly that Tank Bigsby entered the transfer portal, but he's staying now at Auburn, correct? Sounds like you guys want me to do a Heisman candidates video for 2025, which would include Tank, Tyler Van Dyke, and the other players that I mentioned. Blake Corum. Braylon Allen, yeah, beast. You're talking about a 17-year-old playing in the Big Ten. Crazy good. What a man. We are Penn State 76 asking Mark, is it possible that Jigba was the best receiver at Ohio State this year? Not to mention they had Jamison Williams as well, and he had to transfer to get on the field. Ohio State, the new wide receiver U. Well, Ohio State is arguably, I'm not claiming it to be wide receiver U, but it's been in that upper echelon since the mid-90s, the early to mid-90s. Ohio State has had a plethora of tremendous receivers at all times. So it's been right there with Alabama, Clemson, Miami. When I talk Miami, I'm talking years ago for the most part. Florida State, years ago. Florida State's wide receiver core has hit the skids in the last 6 or 7 years. But Michigan's had great wide receivers up until recently. So, yeah, we could go through Devin Achane from Texas A&M, the running back, who is multifaceted. Yeah, maybe we'll talk a little Heisman. Maybe we'll do a little early Heisman. Maybe we'll do that on a live stream. You guys can all chime in. Will Anderson, is he coming back? Will Anderson? Yes, Fermus, Daryl LaMonica was the starting quarterback, but he was right-handed before Kenny Stabler. Here we go. William, why would any quarterback ever go play football in Ohio State's dummy offense? Their rookie years result in more paternity suits than touchdown passes. Well, I don't have a big defense for the Ohio State NFL quarterbacks, that's for sure. We'll see what Justin Fields has for us. Joe Burrow, by connection, by extension, the transitive property. Boomer Esiason, lefty, of course. Adrian Martinez, Kansas State Heisman Trophy winner. Would that not be the upset of the year? Zach Evans, Ole Miss. All right, folks, I think we have tapped it about dry here at the Voice of College Football. Appreciate everybody being here. Just wanted to jump online with this breaking news that Caleb Williams has entered the transfer portal. But now, within the breaking news, Dylan Gabriel transferring to Oklahoma. We will, of course, cover it as well as we possibly can while still eating and getting some rest from time to time here at the Voice of College Football. I do have a number of videos in store coming your way, so please be on the lookout for those. In terms of our live schedule on Tuesday, Miami Live at 1:15 Eastern. 5:30 Eastern is Iowa Hawkeyes Live. And then at 7 Eastern, Nebraska Cornhuskers Live. So we are live 3 times tomorrow with Miami at 1:15, Iowa at 5:30, Nebraska at 7. I'm also recording with Steve Days from Michigan Podcast. So I will have a fun time slicing up Michigan's latest effort against Georgia. I somehow thought that was going to be a good game. You know what? Sometimes you got to go with your gut. Was I going with my gut? I'm getting my gut and my head mixed up. Because part of me was telling me, yeah, Michigan, look at what they proved against Ohio State. Look at what they proved against a tough Big Ten schedule. And they're getting better week by week by week. And Iowa's, sure, they're limited. I'm being kind, limited on offense. But still, who beats Iowa 42-3? So, man, Michigan's playing well. Georgia, sure. So on one hand, I was talking myself into all these reasons why Michigan could pull off the upset, even though I clearly stated within my Michigan pick, I'm getting hammered for it, rightfully so. But I still stated within that 2 things. I said, if you told me right now that Georgia wins this game 48-14, I just threw out a score, 48-14, I wouldn't be surprised. And if you said one team is going to blow out the other team, I immediately would jump on Georgia. They have the potential to do it to Michigan. Michigan cannot do it to Georgia. Georgia has waves and waves and waves of talent. Something was telling me, even when I did my prediction video, I said, I can check off the check boxes in Georgia's column, one after another, after another, after another. But I still thought, you know what? Michigan has a better than puncher's chance. And I don't think that these two teams are 34-11, typically that apart, but that was the score. That was the game. We all saw it. It was domination. But despite all that, I went against my logic that said Georgia's checking off all the boxes. They've got the waves and waves of talent and speed. And I still picked Michigan with the caveat that I said Georgia would win this game most of the time, like 65 to 70% of the time. But I'm still going to go with Michigan. Wrong. All right, everyone. We appreciate it. Again, on Tuesday, it's Miami at 1:15. It's Iowa at 5:30. It's Nebraska at 7. We will see you then. Thank you so much for your support. We appreciate it. Venmo, PayPal, and Cash App. Just search Mark Rogers TV